Um, Wait, I gotta turn this around. Um, yeah, sorry I missed yesterday. I just felt like I needed a little break. I didn't have to go anywhere or do anything yesterday, so I just wanted to enjoy the day. And wanted to check in with you guys too to see if your arms got sore. My arms got sore, both my triceps and biceps. Um, Shoulders, not so much, but yeah, it felt really good. So I wanted to see how you guys felt too, if you felt the arm workout from 2 days ago. Um, and my day's kind of gotten away from me today. I just got back from getting some hay a little bit ago. And I looked at the time and I realized, gosh, I should get on and do a live, but I don't know what I want to talk about. And I've been kind of looking through some of my books and nothing's really coming to me. Um, but I did pick up this one and I opened to a page, and I've had this book for a while and I haven't really looked through it or used it, but I opened to this page. Um, and I was like, yeah, that would be something good to talk about. It's called Center Your Body. And awareness of the body is an essential ingredient when developing mindfulness. Whether you're driving to work, doing the laundry, or sitting in meditation, the body is always available. When you pay attention to the body, you become more centered and grounded. Mindfulness of the body reduces preoccupation with thinking, shows you how your body, mind, and heart are deeply connected. And I think that's like so true. I think mindfulness is like so important when you're riding. It's important when you're working out. If you want to get the most out of your workouts, it's important when you're riding, just to be mindful of what you're doing and what your body is doing and what your horse is doing. I think that awareness keeps you in the present. It's going to make your rides more productive, and I think more fun, because I think that's like where you really feel your horse, you get connected to your horse. An example would be like, sometimes I have clients that are what I call not in their body, they're not in the present, and they're not really mindful in the moment. They come in and their mind is still outside of the gym. Even though their bodies made it to the gym, their mind's not at the gym yet. And it's kind of my job to get their minds there too. So it's not just about the physical. One of my sayings that I've always said is, it's not what you do, it's how you do what you do. And it's important how you do it. And I think that's, hi, how are you doing? Happy Saturday. I think it's important how you do what you do. And that means that you have to be mindful and to be present in order to make it purposeful. That's how you make things purposeful. Um, in working out, I call it, that's how you take it deeper into the muscle. So if you really want to train a muscle and develop it, you have to be mindful. You have to be aware of what your body's doing. You have to be in the present. You have to have your mind and body connected. Your breath has to be flowing. All those things is what is going to get you a lot quicker and better results. It's going to take it deeper in the muscle by focusing on those things and making it more purposeful. Usually when I say that to somebody, make it more purposeful, it's just contracting the muscle a little bit more from inside the muscle. It makes it more purposeful. When it's more purposeful, you put some oomph behind it, um, you're going to get better results. So, I have sometimes clients that just, they're not in the present, their mind's not connected with their body. And when they start moving, you can tell that they're not connected. They're just kind of going through emotion. They're just doing the physical part. Their mind's not really connected with their body and what their body's doing. They might be thinking about grocery lists or, what they have to do the rest of their day. They're planning in their heads and they're just kind of going through emotion. And that to me is like a very shallow feeling. And it's the same with our horses. If you get on your horse and you're not present, you're thinking about something, it's going to be more shallow. You're not going to feel your horse. You're not going to get the satisfaction, I guess, of the connection of your horse because you're not really present. And that might be different if you're going for a trail ride. If you're out on a trail ride, it might be a little bit different. I'm one that I really like arena work. I like having something to work on and having something to make better. It's like I'm a detail person, so I like to have something to focus on, and development. I like self-development. I like to learn things, and I like to learn things about myself. I like to learn things about my horse, and it's one thing when you're in the gym working out and you're learning about yourself. Oh, hold on a second. Yes, I think so. It kind of depends, I guess. It depends on like, for me, like if I'm trying to work on our Western pleasure and things like that, sometimes I'm just not in the mood to do that. So it feels good to like still come out and maybe do some lunging with them or do something else that I normally wouldn't do, or maybe some grooming. Sometimes it just feels good to come out and groom. And you can be mindful in the moment doing that too. I'm usually mindful of that. I just like to be around my horse, and I'm usually not thinking of other things. I'm just like focusing on my breathing, my breath, and just, and I'll watch them and watch, to see if they're enjoying it or not. And, sometimes that feels good. So if your mind's not really into writing, yeah, I think you should maybe skip that day and do something else. Doesn't mean that you don't have to not do anything with them. Just on those days, sometimes it's like, well, let me get a ball out and play with them, or let me do a little lunging, or let's work on something, something different, something more fun. Because if you come out, and it's the same with the workout too, it's like, and I think there's a fine line, where some days you just don't feel like going to the gym. And you kind of have to decide, are you being lazy, or are you really going to benefit more by taking that day off and maybe doing it tomorrow instead? And it's even a little bit different with your horse, because it's not just you. It's, with your workouts, it's just you, and you can decide, well, let me just go ahead and go. I don't know if you've had those days where it's like, I really don't want to go, but I'll go ahead and go and just do something. And once you start, you feel better. And a lot of times you end up getting a better workout than what you thought you were going to. And I think it's similar with your horse, but now it's not just you. It's you have another being that you have to take into consideration too, because Chansey, the one that I just showed you, turned the camera around, he's out in the pasture. Him, I can always tell, like when he's ready to do something. As soon as I come walking out, he'll usually be standing in the corner by the gate. If not, if he's in his pen, once he hears me, he comes up and he nickers, and I can tell he wants to do something. And I would say probably 95% of the time when I come out, he wants to do something. So if I'm in the mood and he's in the mood, it's a good day to ride. But some days I come out and he wants to do something, but I'm not really in the mood to like work on a particular thing. Then I'll just take him out and groom him, and then maybe let him have some pasture time. But I think you have to have a right attitude to ride, and some horses are different. Some horses will show you if your mind isn't right, and some horses don't mind as much. They don't care. You know, you can ride them anytime, but some are more sensitive, and they'll show you if your mind's not right. But I think just to get the most out of your rides, and especially if you're trying to, especially if you want to feel that connection with your horse, I think you have to be mindful and aware of your body, and your breath. You know, I talk a lot with my clients about the breath and breathing, and not breathing shallow off the top of your chest. When you're breathing that way, you're not breathing fully and you're not breathing deep. And some horses can feel that, and some horses it affects them. It makes our bodies tight when we're not breathing deeply and fully. We're not breathing from the belly, and it makes our bodies more tense, and so that can affect the way that your horse travels. It might not travel as smooth and flowy. It might be a little more choppy, and I think those are some of the main things that, you know, when you're getting ready for a set. I think it's important, like if you're in the gym working out and you're going to lift something heavy, it's important to like, you better be grounded and in your body and aware of your body, because if you're not, you're going to get hurt. And I have seen people get hurt because of that. You know, they're just not really centered, and they're just going to go do a heavy weight. But you have to get centered. You have to make sure you're in your body, and your breath is ready. You're breathing deep. You know, you kind of get prepared. And I think it's good to do that with your horses too. I do that. You know, I like to have that feeling of like, and it's funny, I brought my cards out here. I've been listening to Karen Rolfe, some of her YouTube videos, and one I saw, she was talking about different types of energy, and I thought these were very interesting. I'm not going to talk about all of them, but there were two that I really liked. I understand the other ones too, and I want to kind of play with those. But two that I really liked, and the one was a Psi energy, and this is the one that I talk about that I like. I never thought of like calling it the Psi energy, but just like when I just went, you know, you get you get ready to do a set, or you know, you're getting ready to come down in your body. You have to just, you know, get grounded. It's kind of like a letting go feeling to get down to that first energy center. You're grounding. It is a Psi energy. It's just kind of like an exhale, and it just drops you down right into your body. And if you like sitting in a chair, if you're sitting in a chair right now, just really feel, you know, I'm going to sit up straight. okay, you know, you can like have your body tense. We don't want it tense. You just want to just let it relax while you're still sitting up straight. Don't force yourself up straight if it doesn't feel right. Just think of like a neutral spine, and then just feel your body, feel the weight of your body sinking into the chair. Just let the chair take all of your body weight. So you're not trying to like hold yourself, you're not tense. You're just like, my arms are on the arm hand of the chair arms here. My arms are on the chair arms. You know, just let everything just kind of like sink into the chair. It makes you just want to sigh. And she called it the sigh energy. And so she calls that like a base energy. And she said, surrender to the moment that's in front of you. And I used to say it's like a surrender too. It's like to get into your body. I like see it as like you kind of open up, you let all that energy like come down, and it's a surrender. And the surrender doesn't mean you're giving up, and it's not a weakness. It's part of the breath, I think, and it's a letting go. You're letting go of control, basically, and like I like what she says, you're surrendering to the moment that's in front of you. So that like brings you to the present right away. It centers you in the body. In my notes, I wrote, to me, this is the first chakra. It's letting go, grounding, feeling your gravity, surrender, being, acceptance, present. To me, it's kind of all those things. And she says you can use that energy with the other energies that she talks about. And I think that's true, because I think that's like our main energy that we want. Is you always want to come back to that, because it's like a surrender and a letting go. And it's like that's what keeps you in the moment. Even when you're working out and lifting weights, it's like you're constantly coming back to that point. That's kind of what I call recenters you. You know, it's to me, it has to do with your breath, and to me it's kind of like your exhale. You know, when I first get on my horse, it's like I get on and I get adjusted, and then I do that. I just sit there and I breathe. I breathe from my belly and just, you know, kind of get connected. Because if you think about it, our first energy center is where our seat bones are, and we're sitting on top of their back. So if you know, they can feel a fly on their body, and if we're not seated and grounded, you know, kind of grounded into the saddle is what I call it. You know, you're just like sitting here in this chair, what I was talking about. They can feel that. I think they like when we're in that type of energy, you know, because if we're connected to our first energy center and it's sitting on their back, that kind of connects us to them. And they have energy centers throughout their body. And it's like, you know, so if you think about it, here we are and here they are, and we're sitting, our first one, basically kind of like on their third energy center. So our first one is on theirs, and they can tell, you know, horses will show you if you're connected to that, you know, sitting deep in the saddle, grounded in the saddle, they know. And again, some horses are more sensitive to it than others, and it affects them in different ways. If you're not grounded, you know, it can make them feel very uneasy and uncomfortable. They just don't like that feeling, because usually if you're not grounded, you're not breathing deep, and sometimes that makes horses nervous. You know, I think they like a relaxed feeling. Plus, I think when you get to that point, your horses are going to be more relaxed and flow more. If your breath is flowing and you're in your body and grounded, they're going to do the same thing. Another reason when I get on and I sit there like that too, it's like it teaches them to stand still, so you don't want to just get on and like have them walk off. They get in a bad habit of that. So, or you're getting on and they're trying to walk off while you're getting on. So it's like all of mine. I use the mounting block now. I never used to, but I think it's a lot easier on their backs because for me, I'm like, really, I'm short. So I'm really trying to pull myself up. And I think it's better for their backs if I get on the mounting block, get on them and just sit there. I do it with all of them. And they know to just because I'm getting on doesn't mean that they can walk off and, just start going. It's like they know that they're supposed to stand there until I say we're going to walk. And sometimes it's a minute, sometimes it's longer. I just, do I feel nervous when I jump on a horse? No, not really. Especially the ones that I ride the most often. No, and if I do, I probably have one right now that I've been thinking about. I wanted to maybe start riding him again. I would probably feel a little bit nervous getting on him because I haven't ridden him in, I don't know, gosh, 4 years maybe, something like that. And it would just be because I'm not used to him and his energy. But usually, I like to lunge him and get connected with him that way. So I do groundwork with him first. So him, I wouldn't just, and him especially, he's not the type that you would want to just pull out and jump on. A couple of my others, you can do that. But with all of them anyway, it's like I like to do groundwork and lunge them, not to get the energy out, but to get, I start the connection on the ground, from the ground. Doing that, you get to see where their mind is before you do get on them. But you start your connection on the ground. So then by the time you get on them, then you already have that connection started. And yeah, I think that's important, especially as you get older, because you don't heal as fast. So for me, it's like I like to really see them. I like to see where their mind is, how relaxed they look, and if they're focused on me, if they're in the present. If one is like, if I'm lunging him and he's like looking around, to me that's a good sign they're not in the present. They're not with me. It's like I wouldn't want to get on one doing that. So yeah, I think it's and then I always get myself to that point too where I breathe and I get in my body, and that helps me to relax too. So so yeah. Let me move to this one real quick too. So this is one, you breathe, do you breathe deep and get centered? Or do you like to lunge it first? I'm just teasing. Yeah, with this next one, to breathe. Yeah, I think that's important. The breathing is important in, I think, anything that you do. Working out, riding a motorcycle, riding horses, any type of sport. Because to me, it's the breath that connects the mind and the body. And it's like when your mind and body's connected, I think that's when you're centered, you're in the moment, you're aware of your body because your mind is right there too. So, you're using your mind to be aware of your body. You're also feeling. It connects you to, what you're feeling. And to me, the breath is just a good sign to know if you're present or not, or if you're just kind of up in your head, or if you're just someplace totally different. It always used to bother me when people say, they're working out, and it's like, oh, I went to my happy place. I'm like, well, your happy place better be here. If you're trying to escape here and your mind is going someplace else, you're kind of defeating the purpose. It's like then you're just going through a motion and you're trying to escape and avoid feeling, or you're trying to avoid feeling the pain. And to me, the pain or the burn of it is like all part of it. That's the part that kind of gets you connected to your body. And that also, it helps you to build endurance, muscular endurance. It helps you to build your mind, to make your mind stronger. And it also helps you to breathe even better. Some people, when they start to feel the burn, they start to like hold their breath and like, want to move away from it. And right there, that's cutting your breath in two. It's making you start to breathe more shallow. And it's like, you have to move into it, and you have to keep that exhale going. The exhale to me is what extinguishes the burn that you're feeling. The lactic acid, you get that lactic acid buildup and it starts to burn, and you have to constantly keep exhaling, because remember what I said in the beginning when we were talking, the exhale to me is what brings you down and brings you back down to that first energy center. It gets you right back in your body, because as something gets harder, whether you're trying to take a set farther or you're trying to lift heavier, you have to constantly recenter yourself. And that, to me, the recentering comes from your breath. And I think it's similar for horses too. There's some things that we do that, if you're squeezing too hard with them and you're not breathing, that can affect them. Like kind of my horse Chansey, you need to make sure that you're breathing, because he'll stop. If I'm using, he can take pressure, but if I'm not breathing, he doesn't know what to do. He just kind of stops. So, and your breath is what helps you to flow too. It's yeah, it helps you to have forward motion. It helps you to move the weight. It helps you to have forward motion with your horse and stuff. So, yeah. So another thing she talked about too, and I really like this one, is the sweet spot. And she calls it the active neutral. And what I would call that is like, or how I would explain the active neutral is like when you're kind of like, what came to me is like doing balance exercises, the balance board the other day. The balance board can teach you kind of to be neutral, but you're active. Like the other day when I was doing my arms, but I was balancing too. When you're balanced in your body and your balance is good, I think you are neutral, like your spine is neutral. And on any exercise you do in the gym, I think they're the part where you're getting ready to start your set is kind of like your active neutral. So whatever the stance is, and I can't think of an example right now, but every exercise has an active neutral to where it's kind of like, I used to call it, it's like the place of effortless effort. So it's the point where you're getting ready to start an exercise where you're holding the weight. So that kind of makes you active. It might make your core engage a little bit. Your spine is neutral, but you're not really using a lot of effort to like hold it there. Once you start to move the weight, then you're using more effort. But you kind of always return to that active neutral. And to me, that's kind of like your, let's see, she called it the sweet spot too. Sweet spot. Yeah. To me, that's, yeah, it's like it's your being centered. Your, your active neutral. Yeah, I'm active neutral too. But, you know, like in Pilates, they talk about neutral spine. And, you know, I think I was talking to one of my clients in the gym last week about that, where, you know, Pilates talks about, well, first, it's like if you lay on the floor and you go to do a crunch, everybody knows what a crunch is, I think. You're kind of using like your surface abdominals to crunch it forward, right? And in Pilates, they talk about a deeper abdominal muscle. That's your transverse abdominal muscle, which is like, say this is your spine, and it's like it's the muscle that's like closest to the spine. So it's really deep, you know, and then your six pack, your surface abdominals are on top of that, but the transverse abdominal is the one that's like closest to your spine. And I think that's what helps us to have a neutral active. It helps us to have a neutral spine, you know. And when you are neutral, like even just standing, you know, even just standing, to me, when I find that spot, that sweet spot, my breathing is effortless. You know, like if I were to lean forward a little bit, my breath just changed. Or if I'm like, you know, lean over to one side, it changes my breath. Or if I lean back too much, you know, it kind of cuts your breath in two. So I think the neutral spine for me, the way I feel it, is my breath is flowing. It's an effortless breath. And to me, I think that's the place of like being in your body and being, it's that active neutral. It's an active neutral feeling. It's where everything should start, I think. You know, so if you're getting ready to like start a set, you should get into that feeling and that mind frame. You know, it's kind of like being in the zone. You know, it's being in the zone to me is like the sweet spot. It's like you're in the moment. And I think when you're in the moment, you know what you need to do at any moment to get to where you want to go. So she says too, it's not wanting for anything else when you're in that spot. Yeah, I took some of it for a little while on the reformer. It was it's harder than you would think. You get a lot out of it. It's really good for the core. Yeah, I took a Pilates mat mini ball certification years ago, and yeah, some of those exercises with just a little mini ball, those were pretty good too. But they really teach you about the transverse abs, and that's what keeps your that's what stabilizes your body. You get in that neutral spine, and you learn to get in touch with the transverse abs. I think that helps you to, you know, push farther in a set or lift heavier. Plus, it also helps you when you're riding just to be in touch with that, because it feels like it really keeps you centered. So, anyway, it is, we're at 36 minutes, and I think I've talked about all I want to talk about. But I'm going to add this, the sweet spot. It's about to connection and harmony and balance. It's about, I think, like the balance in your body, balance and centeredness, like front to back, left to right, top to bottom. When you can feel that in your body, just completely centered in your body, to me, that's the sweet spot, and that's your active neutral. And that's where you want to start when you're getting ready to do any type of exercise, and also riding your horse, or at least that's where I like to start. So just getting that feeling of my breath flowing, because if I feel like I'm holding my breath when I'm, getting ready to start, which I usually won't get on if I feel like I'm like not breathing deep, it just, my mind body's not connected, and it's just like, no, I'm gonna go do something else instead, because I don't feel completely centered. And I think that's sometimes when we can make mistakes too, because it's like with me, if I'm not connected, my mind and body, it's like, it kind of takes away some of my my feeling too, of what I might be feeling, and I might misjudge something, or it's just not as fun to me anyway, doing that. So those are the lunging days or grooming days then, when I feel like that when I come out. Or it's just a stay inside and do something inside day. If I'm really feeling off, you feel off center, you just feel off on those days. Those are days where it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna ride or do anything where I have to like really totally be present. Like a grooming day, it's like, you just kind of, the grooming can bring you, I think, into it, into that relaxed, centered place, because it's something relaxing for your horse, it's something relaxing for you. It's kind of like a meditation, and that can make you feel better and get your mind and body connected on some of those days. So anyway, he's over here getting into stuff that he's not supposed to be getting into. So I just wanted to come on and say hi, and I was almost going to skip today too, because I'm like, what am I going to talk about? I don't know what to talk about. And I wanted to have a topic, but I just couldn't really think of one other than mindfulness, and I read those couple paragraphs. I'm like, okay, I'll just start with that and then see what flows from there. So anyway, I hope you guys like this, and yeah, make comments below if you're watching this on the replay. make comments below of, do you practice mindfulness when you're riding, or do you practice mindfulness in other areas of your life? So I'd like to know. And what do you guys do? What do you do if you practice mindfulness? To me, my mindfulness was always like the gym. You know, that's where I learned mine and, you know, awareness of my body. And when you're working out, you know, you want to be aware of what you're doing, what your body's doing. You don't want your mind to be someplace else. And same with riding your horse. You want to be mindful of what you're doing, what you're feeling, what your horse is doing, the feedback that your horse gives you when you're riding, you know. And if you're not mindful and in your body, you don't notice the feedback. You can be doing things and then your horse is doing things and you're like, why did he just do that? But if you're mindful when you're riding and you're aware of your body and aware of what you're feeling, and your horse does something, you're like, oh, wait, wow, that was interesting. Let me see if I can recreate that. If it was something good, you're like, oh, wow, how'd we do that? You know, it's like, wait, I just, and then I'll rewind my mind and what I felt, and then I'll try it again. And, you know, that's how you learn. But then if he did something bad, he gave you a feedback of, you know, or not bad, but just gave you feedback of like, that's not what I was asking him. Why did he do this instead? And then I'm like, well, I had my foot up here. Okay. Oh, I had my foot in the wrong place, or whatever it was. Or I wasn't breathing deep. I was kind of holding my breath, and he brought his head up, you know, so I need to like relax back down into the saddle, sit heavy in the saddle, and make sure I'm breathing, and let's try it again. You know, so if you're aware of your body and you're mindful when you're riding, your horse does give you lots of feedback. It gives you feedback of everything that you do. You know, and so, you know, it makes it easier to figure out things, whether you did something good and it's like, oh wow, we did it. We finally did it. How did I just do that? Because when you do it good, you want to know what you did so you can recreate it every time. And if it's something that your horse already knows, but say it's one of those days where you were kind of having a little bit of an off day, or it could be a day, I have these days sometimes. The day before you had a really good session and you're like, you're so happy. The next day you come out and you think that you're going to do the same thing again, and you can't remember exactly how you did it. And it could be that you're maybe just trying too hard to do it. Thank you for the thumbs up. You're just trying too hard to do it. So it's maybe, sometimes it's not the physical thing that you're doing, it's the energy in your mind. And it's, you kind of left your part of your body behind, and you're more up in your mind because you're trying too hard and your energy's not flowing. But if you kind of pull that energy down and do it again, then you're like, okay, there it is. Because sometimes it's not physical, or like technique. It's sometimes just your energy behind what you're asking, but you don't really realize those things and that feedback until you're mindful in the moment. And anyway, I'm getting a phone call too, so I'm going to go ahead and end this, and I'm proud of myself because it's less than an hour. We're at 44 minutes. So I hope you guys have a great night, and I'm going to try to come on here tomorrow too. So let me just hang up there. So anyway, have a great night, and I'll hopefully see you guys tomorrow. Okay, bye bye.